So in this chapter, we will be talking about my groups, how I create them, how I decide which parameters will turn into a macro, and how I can easily control this from the source of my group and the workflow within that. So how I would approach starting it. So for example, we can make some bleepy bloopy sounds, and I've made a little pattern here. So you have to choose a sound source first. So let's go for operator, for example. How I would get started with that is by making it a group. That's the first step I always take when I add a sound. So it would be right click, group, and tap this upper button, which will show you your macros. So let's hear, now we just have a basic sine wave with one oscillator doing this. Now, then you will think, what would be nice to make a macro? I first take the sustain down, and then with the decay, I can make the notes shorter and longer. And well, I think by myself, that's nice. Let's make that a macro. So I map that to macro 1 and I call it the decay. Now from here, I have an easy center where I can adjust the decay. For example, with operator, it's also nice to add a second oscillator. Then you get this effect. And I will not go into shaping the sounds too much. We're going to do that once we will start building a track. This is purely to focus on how I am building the racks. So now I can have oscillator B level, decay. And well, that's some macros I can do within of my synthesizer. I can add anything into my rack that I want to make a macro or that I want to have influence on the sound. So for example, we can do an autofilter. So this low pass filter, for example, we can choose that the cutoff frequency is also a macro. I call it low pass filter. So now I have here a center of already 3 knobs that I could choose. Just to maybe give it a little bit more of the potential sounds, so you can imagine how it would be sounding, adding a little bit of a delay, just, I don't know. Maybe add a little bit of reverb. For example, maybe whenever we're building towards the break, we can make the delay go even bigger, or the reverb. So let's maybe choose the dry wet knob of the reverb, and we map it to macro 4. Now we can make a reverb here, and okay, so what else could we add here? Maybe or maybe we can say that the third one would be some noise, and we make it very short. So also make that a macro, and we call it noise. So you get some attacky noise to it as well. There's also a nice one, time. So yeah, I guess it would work a little bit like the decay, but it's always nice to add as well. So we already have now 6 parameters in which we can make this sound move. So if we would now start making some automation, you go to automation and you have a very easy control here where you can draw in some automation. And make some unexpected moments. You can do it like this, that suddenly you get a second oscillator coming in, or slowly getting bigger. And you can imagine, like, when you would be building up to a break, what you can do then is like adding the decay to be bigger. So let's pretend we are building to a break here. And well, we also add some noise there, like building the intensity. And you can do this actually in all of the track, constantly building that intensity. Reverb also, maybe you want to have it grown in the... Maybe it sounds a bit weird if the reverb is suddenly... And then that would be the moment that the kick comes back. I'm just saying something, you know, with all this automation, you can keep on having it moving and going around. And it's just a very easy way to add this macro. So you can do this with everything. So for example, maybe you want some hi-hats, and we take here some 16 patterns, and we take, for example, a closed 909 hat, just because it's easy. And I would do the same thing with this. So I group it. I go to my macros. I take the sustain down. And then with decay, I can decide if it's getting longer or shorter. Also with this one, I think it's nice to add a low pass filter. So I take a filter, I take the cutoff, I map it here. I call it LPF. Reverb, also nice, maybe when you are building to some tension, and you would say reverb. With delay, you can also do it. So I'm not sure if it would work on the hi-hats, but let's just do it. You can just map both these parameters to the same, and then call it delay, and it will, both the dry, wet, and the feedback will rise at the same time. Now, it doesn't have very much effect here, but you can do this on other sounds. So also now my hi-hats would be moving. So at the same time as you would be building tension, boom, everything goes away, or just slowly moving. And of course, if you have MIDI controller, it's much nicer even, because then you can make this automation with your hands and it would become even more organic. So that's just a quick way of me making macros and groups. And I basically do this with all of my sounds. And then you have here a nice center point of the parameters that you want to be moving. And on each track, each sound, you can make the sound move everywhere. And by doing this, your whole track will start going, being alive. So that's just a quick walkthrough of how I make my racks. And well, let's dive in now, and we will start making a track from scratch, and we will make all the sounds together, and we will apply this one to each sound that we have in the project.